You're listening to the Science of CX. My name is Steve Pappas. I'm known for my relentless pursuit of all things customer. Across my career, and also in my 6 startups, I've had to learn how to make decisions in business that customers really respond to. Let's spend some time together and help your business soar, grow, and accelerate. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Science of CX. My name is Steve Pappas, and I'll be your host for the next few minutes. We have an interesting show today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how employee experience affects the customer experience. So you all know that I've been talking about customer experience forever, and I've probably lived it since I was 6 or 7 years old, when I used to go with my uncle, who was a businessman and owned businesses all over New England. And on Saturdays, when I went with him, I used to see him in action as to how he mystery shopped his businesses, how he took notes, how he made sure that everything was just right. So I've lived customer experience. But, it occurred to me that employee experience is a huge part of the customer experience. So let me give you some statistics there. So a study that was done by Qualtrics that said that only about 53% of employees feel engaged in their jobs. I've seen other research that says it could be as low as 35% of employees are feeling engaged. Now, of course, we're going through some very difficult times right now for employees as they're thinking about their jobs, as they're changing their jobs from working in a business and commuting to working from home and all the stress and troubles that goes with that too. So I got to imagine that there's going to be a fluctuation and quite a variance in the statistic of how many employees really do feel engaged. But the highly engaged employees are 80% or more less likely to leave an organization. If they feel highly engaged, if they feel valuable, they will definitely want to stay. One of the important factors of that is asking for feedback. Employees have often said, and I think the statistics close to 60%, when they're asked for feedback, they feel more engaged. They feel part of the future. They feel part of a solution in the business. Now, let's talk about that a little bit, because another statistics from that same study says that only 40% say they know their company's goals, their company's strategies, the tactics, and really understand where the company is going and how they're playing a part in that. Now, that's a pretty low statistic if you really break that one down, because employees are the business. Of course, the customers pay the bills and everything, but the employees are needed to drive that business towards its goals so that the employees can, flourish through that and the customers can experience what a great product or service they've got. The other interesting statistic that I came across was that it's really about great leaders, right? For being engaged, great leaders account for almost 70% of the engagement scores. And of course, engagement has been found to link directly to productivity. So, are you hiring and promoting the right leaders? So the leaders have to have some interesting qualities to them too. And I'm going to talk about what you can do in a couple of seconds too. 89% of companies think that employees leave because of money. That is categorically not true. It's not because of money. But how do you get companies to understand this? It's not really about throwing more money at them. Only 12% of respondents to many studies say that they leave because of money. The majority leave because they don't feel engaged. They don't feel like they're they're being used to their fullest ability. They have a caustic environment because they're not getting the tools that they need to be successful. I mean, last year alone, $11 billion was lost just due to employee turnover because they did leave. Well, if they didn't leave because of money, they left for other reasons. So those are interesting as to why the employee experience is really so important. I saw another study that was done by Forbes, and that says that, okay, now let's talk about the relationship between employee experience and customer experience. Forbes said that companies with high customer experience have employees that are 1.5 times more engaged. So that means that the companies are engaging those employees better. They're providing better tools. They're giving them an environment by which they can thrive, and they're more successful. So companies with high employee experience levels are also outperforming their competition by 147%. So these are some very interesting factors if you really start to break them down. So let's put a list together here. I think the first step is communicate well. What is your brand? What is your heart? What is your soul of your company? Are you communicating that to every one of your employees, no matter whether they're working in a building, in a store, or they're working from home now? So they require even more engagement. So communicate well, number one. Number two, communicate often. Are you having town hall meetings? Are you having all hands meetings? Are you, as the leader, making sure that everyone knows what is going on in the business, how the business is faring? Are you being as transparent as you possibly can to your employees so they feel like they're part of the success itself? Number three, set very clear goals. Every employee should know what the goals of the company are. Every employee should know what the direction of the company is. They should be simple, and they should be able to repeat them back to you. Let's go on to number four. Give them the right set of tools so they can be successful. How often do you ask employees if they have the right set of tools, if they have the right level of training? Do they have the right tools for on-the-job success? Do they have the right tools so that they can always be able to answer any question posed to them? Do they have the right tools so they feel knowledgeable, they feel empowered, they feel engaged, and they can provide the best level of customer experience? So give them the right set of tools. Ask often and reassess the tools that you're giving your employees to be successful. Number five, always engage your employees to be part of the solution. Don't just ask for the problems. Don't just ask what's going wrong, etc. Ask and engage them to help be part of committees, be part of various activities that helps drive the overall solution for the future. And don't make change for today's sake. Make change for tomorrow's. Number six, get feedback. Get feedback often and make sure you're asking, because quite frankly, I found that people employed in businesses know what's going on more than the folks at the top. Right? They see day in and day out how the customers are faring, what the problems are, what's working, what's not working, what they've got to overcome, what they need workarounds for. They have the finger on the pulse of the business. Get their feedback. It is invaluable to get the feedback from the employees, especially the ones on the front line. And finally, number seven, let's make it fun. Right? Let's engage our employees so that they have something to look forward to every evening about where they're going tomorrow, that they spend 8, 9, or more hours with their coworkers, in an environment that is always asking them to be part of the solution and the success path of the organization in general. But engage them. Make it fun. Develop a fun committee, if you will. Even if you're all working from home and you're a virtual organization, not just now, but maybe in the future, if you're a virtual organization, how can you make it fun? We're going to talk about some of the fun things you can do in a virtual and remote organization in one of the upcoming episodes. So stay tuned for that. Once again, thanks for listening to me. Thanks for joining me on these episodes. And thanks for subscribing and making the Science of CX a successful podcast. You've been listening to the Science of CX. My name is Steve Pappas. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if you have, the highest compliment that you can give us is to subscribe, rate, and review the Science of CX. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.